Speaking of getting people reacquainted with these games, our guest for today is a good friend of mine. He is the reason why I know how to play Tekken. If you ever seen me play Tekken and seen how upset I get at my own way of playing Tekken, you can blame him. Them, sorry. Uh, this is a good friend of mine here in Austin who has saved my ass more than one time. He is apparently the Combo Breaker 2024 Plasma Sword Champion, the Defend the North 2024 Plasma Sword Champion. You can find him here on Twitch at Crow Spaceboy. He usually streams a lot of these games. I've been seeing him stream a lot more Plasma Sword and Project Justice now than I did before. But I am so honored to have my close friend here. We've done commentary together for Tekken back at DreamHack 2018 in Austin. Ladies and gents, welcome a good buddy of mine, Mr. Crow Spaceboy. Crow, how's it going?
Hello, thank you for having me.
Howdy. Give me 1 second here so I can fix audio levels. There we go. Crow, first of all, it's your fault that I
Yes.
play Tekken. And it's because we
Why
managed
are you
to...
gonna put that on me?
Well, here's the thing. We used to work together at a call center back in like 2016, I think.
Mhm.
And I very specifically remember days where we would work on holidays, and since they were so slow, we would bring a PlayStation into the office and hook it up to like the laggiest monitor that there was there, and we would play like Tekken Tag 2 before Tekken 7 came out.
I remember that because it may have been me. I don't remember if it was me or you, but one of us money matched one of the boomers that was there that talked a lot of trash
Oh, that
about
was
Tekken.
you. That was you. Yeah,
Okay,
his name was Dan. I remember him. Yeah,
I
he
guess
talked
that's
a lot of
incorrect
he talked a
information.
lot of mess.
I just remember the money exchanging hands. That's the part I fondly remember the most.
Well, I mean, that's the most important part, isn't it? So, Crow, I'm super happy to have you on. First of all, whenever I think about like community games, right, like games off the beaten path, as it were, that aren't like that isn't like Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8 or Guilty Gear Strive. Usually, you're the first person that comes to mind because you usually stream these very obscure games, and it's specifically anytime I do like a combo breaker mystery game tournament, I'm like, oh man, there was this really weird game that I've never seen. It was like wrestling, and you would be like, oh, that's this game. Here, let me show you some cool tech for it.
Here's a combo for
Yeah.
it.
So you're the first person that came to mind as soon as I saw the Capcom Fighting Game Collection, or the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 with the addition of Plasma Sword and Project Justice, both of which I've seen you stream multiple times. Um, how do you feel about having these games being released in this collection?
It doesn't feel real. The Plasma Sword is a game that I stumbled into because Alex Alchemy was running a charity tournament for Puerto Rico relief, hurricane relief, back in 2022, and I had literally never touched it in any way, and I just whenever I enter something, I just want to research it a little bit, and I if you put a game in front of me that is kind of polygonal and it has a step, I'm gonna fall in love with it. And I fell in love with that game very quickly. Um, and I just, for some reason, just very serendipitous. Run It Back Gaming, an esports organization over in Ohio, I think they started running tournaments around the same time for Plasma Sword, and that sequence of events somehow, like a crazy set of dominoes, led from 2022 charity tournament to Combo Breaker having a tournament for this game. Meanwhile, keep in mind there was no Fightcade for this game at that first tournament. The Fightcade kind of just added Flycast around that same time, and it was just very fortunate. So all these crazy sequence of events has now led to uh, CFC2 being announced, and when that happened, I woke up to every single person that I've ever known sending me messages saying, "Did you know that Plasma Sword is getting a release?" And
Myself
it,
included.
yeah, it just like it went from being a game that I had absolutely no idea about to now it's going to be on a console. And let me tell you, the power of an official announcement is real because the Plasma Sword Fight Cave room used to be me and a Korean guy, and we would just, we would talk to each other, and that's about it because we can't play against each other. The connection's too far. And Guile Winquote put out his Plasma Sword video, and then the CFC announcement happened shortly thereafter. And now there's like 25, 30 people in there at any given time. Um, and that was basically overnight that the
Wow.
way that change happened. And it's not like they just added the game, it's just that awareness and excitement is now brewing around it. And I think that is pretty cool.
Yeah, is the same thing kind of happening with Project Justice as well? I know I've seen you grind out Project Justice a bit as well.
So Project Justice, I have a little bit more familiarity with, and that had more of a community. I think, like a larger standing before anything involving CFC2. Um, that being said, the Project Justice room also absolutely got a bump on FlyK from the announcement, and I do think there's a lot of very genuine excitement for both of those games, and it's really interesting because Hideaki Itsuno, the director of both of those games, probably better known for Power Stone and Devil May Cry and stuff like that as well. But he just announced that he's leaving Capcom, and there's a part of me that wonders if getting these two games out on modern consoles is something of like his last duty with the company. I don't think he's ever going to say whether that's the case or not, but it does make me wonder if that timing was intentional.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Yeah, because like he was one of those people that is like was involved with just about every game that's on this collection, right? Like he also had a hand in CVS, in the Capcom Fighting Jam or whatever it's called, and the 3D games as well. Um, so has like with the addition of new people joining these communities for Plasma Sword and for Project Justice, like have things changed at all for these games?
Yes, I can already tell you that there are the level of plasma sword play has gone up already. There was a infinite I I don't want to call it an infinite block string, although it feels very close to it. That I only thought was in the arcade version of Plasma Sword, um, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. And this Vampire Savior player by the name of Sentinel Unit just showed up one day, and within like 24 hours, started doing it to me. And I'm like, all right, well, this is in the console version too. I see. um, so like the game's in a really fascinating spot because it really didn't have anything resembling a North American tournament scene. A lot of what I think are very cool 3D fighting games that have a lot to offer just never got that chance because of the time that they were released in and the fact that, up until very recently, emulation has not caught up.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in kind of this renaissance where the games that I like the most are now getting a second lease on life, and Plasma Sword is probably the biggest uh, benefactor of that on this collection.
For sure. And for people who want to pick up Plasma Sword after seeing it either for the first time or seeing it again after a long time in this new collection, what advice do you have for people who are trying to pick the game up again and or the first time?
Except that it's a 3D game, first off, because I think that I have seen so many new players just like not utilize the dash button. A dash button is a very like modern invention, right? Like I think a lot of people think about like Guilty Gear Strive adding the dash button, etc. But Plasma Sword had that stuff way back in the past on the Dreamcast, and you really like motor in that game. You can cancel with the dash button. You can sidestep in the foreground or background, and you can cancel sidestep in the backdash. And it's a technique called box dashing. You can just basically make a Z shape with this repeated input over and over again. And oftentimes, the difference between success and failure in that game is the ability to just put on a set of rocket skates and zoom around the map, because there are also infinite stages in that game.
Oh,
And
interesting.
you really feel how powerful movement is very quickly once you start utilizing that button.
Gotcha. Um, and for the people who are like, I know you. We talked like you had mentioned that there was only like one other person that you would hang out with in Fightcade, but since you just went to these two like tournaments for Plasma Sword, um, was there at these tournaments was there anything that you saw that you weren't expecting to see? Like, has
Oh
there
my
been?
god. Yes. Vampire Savior players might know him a little better than me, but a guy by the name of Carl Key showed up to Combo Breaker, a player from France. And, you know, I didn't know what the French plasma sword scene was like. I barely knew what the American plasma sword scene was like. So how was I going to be prepared for French Vector to show up? And Vector is my main character as well. So it was really interesting to be able to play against someone on the opposite side of the world in person who played my character but played that character in a completely different way. And I think it's a real testament to that game that both of us were able to play the same character in just completely different ways, and that character is not S tier in any way, shape, or form. There were actually like no S tier characters in the top four of that tournament, and I think that's both a testament of how like powerfully balanced that game is, and also how much room there is for some deviant sicko to come in with a Zelkin and absolutely body us.
Oh man, I'm assuming that with this new way for people to play, that we're gonna see a lot more crazy shenanigans that we've never imagined.
The Zelkin player is already coming out of the woodwork, and that's the character that I assumed like this is the because there was one Zelkin player, Crookie Crumbles. Shout outs to Crookie. I haven't seen you on Fightcade in a little bit, but he got second at one of the Run It Back tournaments, and I had a tough time with him then. And he was doing good stuff, but he was not doing the sicko nasty like fly unfly like block string, keep you in block string for 40 seconds sort of stuff, which is really hard to do. And it's like way more technical than anything else that's in the game. Plasma Sword, I don't want to scare anyone off. Plasma Sword's a very easy game to pick up and play and just like learn one combo and run house. But if you do want to, if you're a person with the devil robot hands, there's also characters there for you as well.
Yeah. Before we move on to our next question, we just got to shout out Blue. Blue has resubscribed for 70 months. Blue is, for those of you that don't know, the person behind the AFGC News Twitter, and he's also a producer here at Best of Five. He helps the show go around. So big thanks to Blue. Give him a little clappy do, will you? A little clappy do for Blue. Thank you, Blue. I hope you're doing well there. I want to move away from Plasma Sword a little bit. And I want to talk about Project Justice.
All right.
Project Justice, I think, got a little more attention before this because of the of Street Fighter Five, right? Akira was one of the guest characters
Yeah.
in Street Fighter Five, and they tried to implement a couple of the mechanics from Project Justice into Street Fighter Five, which I thought was really neat. Um, so you had mentioned that Project Justice already kind of had a little bit of an established community. Um, what do you think? Do you think anything major is going to change for Project Justice now that it's coming out in this collection?
I suspect that there will. I mean, it's already happened. There's already more people in the room, in the fight catering than there was before. I live next to a highway. I
Oh,
apologize
it's okay.
about that. But also, I suspect that there's going to be a lot of people that pick up CFC2 and play their favorite Capcom 3D fighting game for the first time, and it's going to be a real eye-opening experience when Kyoko hits them with a block string infinite. That game is real nasty at high level play, and it's really easy to play that game and not know what it really is because it is. it is a degenerate game.
So I've only seen you play it. I haven't seen much of Project Justice. Is it's a 3D game or is it a 2D game?
It is it I think it would be an accurate use of the term to say it's 2.5D. It does have a 3D step by hitting light kick and heavy kick together. However, the step operates on a pass fail state. So if you've played Virtua Fighter, you know how if you get the fail step, you take like a tiny movement, but if you get the big step, if you successfully time it, you motor around the ring. It's like that, but even more at opposite ends, because if you get the failed step, you barely move. And if you get the successful step, you literally rotate like behind the opponent instantly. And because of that, I feel like between Plasma Sword and Project Justice is way more geared for 2D players. Not only because I feel like Step is kind of closer to like maybe a spot dodge in SNK games or something like that, but also because Project Justice is a game about hitting your crouching jab. Like that, if you can hit a crouching jab into a combo, you now play 90% of the cast. It's very uniform in the way learning that game is, and the differences between the characters start to not necessarily be about what they do uh, there, like in terms of combo routes, but in terms of like how they pressure you.
Gotcha. Um, and for people who are kind of getting introduced or reintroduced to Project Justice, like, is there a place where people can go to find like some resources on how to learn the game? Actually,
Yes.
for Plasma Sword as well. I don't think I asked that for Plasma Sword.
Well, for Project Justice, that's a very easy answer because the Super Combo Wiki it has all the frame data for every character and it has combos, although not all of them are organized. If you happen to be watching this and are interested in looking up combos for your characters, the easiest way to do that is to go to the combo section, scroll all the way down to the unrecorded section, and hit the button because they just haven't been organized for a lot of characters. For Plasma Sword, like I touched on earlier, that game really it's like a new game is being released, even though it's not a new game, because the information for that game is really scattered. Everything I know about the Plasma Sword, I either labbed myself or I watched Mikado videos from the year like 2010 or what have you. So like that game's a little bit harder to find information in, but if you ask your local Plasma Sword experts, I think they will be more than happy to help you pick up the game.
And are you somebody who's excited at all about the like the additional stuff in this collection, like the concept art and like all the background stuff?
Absolutely. You know what's interesting? On the Capcom website, if you go to the Plasma Sword section, you can click on each character's face, and they have alternate renders for each character. And a lot of that art I've like never seen before. I didn't know that there was a second picture of Omega drawn at any point in time. I barely remember the characters of the game at all. So like, it's surprising to see like a whole new amount of Mingus art that I just like had no idea existed.
I know with
I'm
this.
excited. Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. You're excited.
I was just gonna say I'm excited to see like what all goodies they have baked into the collection.
Yeah, no, and I wanted to ask something that I've seen with this collection, uh, especially like with Marvel, the Marvel collection, and this collection has it as well. Is a lot of characters that weren't originally playable are going to be playable. Are there any characters like that in Project Justice or Plasma Sword that you're looking forward to trying out?
I don't think there's any in Project Justice that fall underneath that category. In Plasma Sword, there were two secret characters that you had to unlock via a code, Ryan and Kaede, and those characters are going to be just unlocked from the onset, which is probably for the best because I suspect Kaede is going to be a very popular character for a lot of people. She's a cute anime girl with a gigantic pink hammer and her plasma field, like if she hits you with it, it becomes a mini game of whack a mole. Yeah, that character is going to sell copies. I am very certain I will be running into that character a lot.
That's really funny. Um, And sadly, the one sad part about these announcements is like it's so exciting, but the game isn't coming out until 2025.
That's
Um,
brutal. I
yeah.
can't. It's going to be really tough for me in particular waiting for that.
So for the time being, for people to hold like to settle down and to hold off and to snack on something, is Fightcade currently the best place to play these games?
Unquestionably. There is, and you mentioned this earlier with that there's still lots of people that don't know about the existence of the Fightcade. That's crazy because not only to me at least, because not only can you now go to Fightcade and play all of these great Dreamcast fighting games that really deserve a lot more scrutiny than I feel like they've received, such as Project Justice and Plasma Sword, but we also have a new platform now called DuckStation and Arcasia. Arcasia is a like lobby system that was made for DuckStation. DuckStation is a PlayStation 1 emulator. So if you want to, there's two games that are not on the Capcom Fighting Collection that are also made by uh, Itsuno, Star Gladiator and Rival Schools, and I know a lot of people like those games. You can play those on DuckStation with rollback netcode. And I do encourage everyone within the sound of my voice to give it a shot because I am tired of being the only American flag that shows up on that platform.
I remember you got me to play. You got me to play something on there. I think we played Cardinal Sin once. That game was
Yes, we did.
sick. That game was sick.
And we, yeah. So you were probably the second best Cardinal Sin player on the planet.
Well, you know what? I kind of cheated. Hold on. Speak one paragraph. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, if you are curious about Arcasia, you can probably find it by typing in the name. However, that's easier said than done because I believe it's a Polish word. So I am going to do everyone within the sound of my
Okay,
voice a
so
favor and Google
so
it and then just post it in chat. It sounds like Ilan's back. Is that
yep,
you, Ilan?
yep. Sorry for putting you on the spot, but I wanted to make sure to show you this that I still have my copy of Cardinal Sin.
You are officially a more legal Cardinal Sin owner than I am.
Dude, it's funny. Like I grew up on like I've played a lot of Cardinal Sin when I was like just growing up, just because like that was the game I had. My parents were like, "Oh yeah, this game's great. There's a clown in it. It's good."
It is the only 3D fighting game that I've played where an uppercut hits low. I think that's going to remain undefeated. And if anyone else wants to experience that, pick the Lizard Man character and just I think it's up and one of the attack buttons. He does this. It looks like a Shoryuken. That shit hits you in the ankles, and I don't understand how or why.
No, I think my favorite part about Cardinal Sin is just the fact that if you hit like you can hit fatality strings. Like there's just strings that just do like 80% damage because it's your it's your own,
We talk,
honestly in the game itself it's your own fault for getting hit because you can just literally like block it because the
we
strings are
talk
so
about
long.
we talk about whether or not combos will it kill, etc. But like in that game, a combo can actually like dismember you and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, it really will kill you.
Yep.
These combos are designed to murder you.
Yeah, and it does not care how much life you have. You can have a full tank of health and still like if you get hit by a combo, you're just gonna get decapitated and the game's over. Sucks to suck.
When's the Cardinal Sin collection coming out?
Hopefully soon. You know what's really funny? I actually like really like the art for it. It's like really weird.
Who made the game? I don't even know.
989 Studios is what it says
I
in the
don't
back of the.
I don't think we're getting a 989 collection anytime soon.
Oh man, dude, I forgot. Like I also have this on in the Power Stone box as well. But like I used to love getting these just because there was so much cool shit to look at in the back.
I
But
do feel like there's something of a lost start with like the way manuals are made and stuff like that. I have a unique millennial fondness for the excitement of opening up a physical copy of a game and looking through a art book or a
same,
manual.
same. And while it is kind of lost because physical games are kind of on their way out, sadly. But I think I'm really excited for this collection because we get all of the supplemental stuff. Like we get the museum and all this other stuff, so we get to see things that we weren't originally privy to. Um, honestly, like I spent way too much time in the museum of what was it, the Capcom 30 the Street Fighter 30th anniversary
Hmm.
collection. Like just looking at like puzzle fighter shit and pocket fighter stuff. So I have a feeling that's gonna be me again. Looking
This
at
is an
power string.
interesting this is an interesting opportunity for getting like a behind the scenes look at Plasma Sword because the rumor has been for so long that that was a scrapped like Star Wars fighting game. Are we gonna see any sketches that hint at anime Han Solo? I'd be
Why do
curious
you
about
think
that.
that it? Why do you think that's a rumor? Is it just because the main character guy has a plasma sword?
I think Seth Killian said it on a podcast,
Oh,
and I'm this is like tertiary, like I heard from somebody else who heard from somebody else. So
yeah.
don't take my word for it. I'm part of the problem. I am repeating what I have
Well,
heard.
Seth Killian, if you hear this, hop on. We'll we'll pick your brain about
Clear it up before CFC2 does.
it. Crow, I'm so happy I finally had an excuse to get you on this show. Because you're one of my favorite people ever, and I think
Oh.
you're a wonderful human being. So I'm really happy you're here. For people who criminally don't know you or don't know where to find you, where can they find you?
The easiest place to find me is right here on twitch.tv at Crow Spaceboy. I stream 5 days a week, and I imagine a lot of you here, specifically here for fighting games, I stream Fightcade and Duck Station every single Thursday. Please come see me in Plasma Sword and Project Justice. Outside of that, I'm on FGC.network and also on co host underneath the same name, Crow Spaceboy.
Cool. Yeah, literally, like any like obscure fighting game you see, if you just try to explain what that looks like to Crow, he'll know.
If you show me an ink drawing, I will be able to tell you what PlayStation 1 fighting game it looks like.
Yeah, no, there was like just as an example, we talked about this before, so I know you know this, but it's just an example. Combo Breaker last year, I tied for 17th in I think I tied for 17th, or no, I did get top 16. I tied whatever 16 is
You're
in the
going to make
mystery
it
game
top 8 by
tournament.
the time this story's done.
Yeah, true. But there was that weird 3D game that had the gigantic rabbit. Like it was just like a rabbit that was a ball, and there was also like this one lady that had a burning knuckle.
You said it
That
was 3D?
yeah, yeah, and it was man, like the character select screen was super weird, and like I just remember the gigantic rabbit. I
Were
played it
they
on stream.
were they all like in like a room and were they in like different parts of the room?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I know what fighting game you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it. I think that's like Saber Marionette J or something like that. I've
Okay.
actually never played that game, but yes, I know what game you're talking about.
See, that's right there. You give him like the most vague description, and he'll be like, "Oh, I think it's that one," and
Well,
it
that's
turns out
a
to be
that's a
right.
you told me that it has a weird character select screen, and that visual is burned into my memory. Or maybe my brain has problems, and I can only remember 3D fighting games. It's one of those two things.
True. Although I'm still like super amazed that like I told you about this wrestling game that I played that same year, and you were like, "Oh yeah, that was the first game where you could like record combos."
Oh my god! Yes, that's a Super Nintendo game. I don't
Yes.
remember the name of that game.
Dude,
Sorry, but
I
I could find it.
genuinely I hurt my hand because I mashed too hard playing that game.
Yeah, so Fightcade sickos within the sound of my voice. There is a wrestling fighting game on the SNES where you hold the L or R button, and while you hold that button, you just mash, and then you let go of the L or R button, and everything that you input while you were holding the button just comes out in like a pre-rendered combo. It is the weirdest mechanic that I've ever seen in a video game, and maybe it's not surprising that I haven't seen it in too many others, but it just goes to show you like what cool like imagination you can find buried in old video games.
Yep, and only in old video games. No,
Only.
I'm just kidding. Crow, thank you again for joining me. This has been a blast. I feel like you and I can speak the rest of the night, but I think we should cut it here. You said twitch.tv/Crow Space Boy, and you stream 5 days a week, and Thursdays are your Plasma Sword / Project Justice days.
My
Um,
fighting days.
Any final words of wisdom that you would like to leave people off with before we say good night?
Give every game a chance because you never know what you're going to fall in love with. That you are always one video game away from finding your new favorite fighting game.
There you go. I cannot add anything else. That was perfect. Crow, thank you so much. And I'm sure you and I will be playing some Plasma Swords sooner rather than later, yeah?
I wait to see you in space, Warrior.
Until then, goodbye, sir.